up today. You are attending the Taste of Success Health and Business session with the Center of Pre-Health Advising, the Health Professions Expo. So we're gonna give it a couple of minutes, but hang on tight and we'll get started shortly.
All right, welcome everyone. We are so happy to see all of you students here with us today. Thanks for coming and sharing this time with us. Welcome everyone. We have a great set of alumni panelists here to share their experience and answer your questions on the topic of health and business. As we go through this presentation, please feel free to type your questions in the chat or use the raise hand feature. For students, please share your year in school and your majors in the chat to give our alumni a sense of who is here today. So you can go ahead and do that now. We're going to start out by having each of our alumni ask, I'll ask each of you to give a brief 2 to 3 minute overview of your career path, your current role, and then we'll move into 2 different breakout rooms and open it up for student questions. This will be a chance just to have a little bit smaller discussion. So let's start out in alphabetical order. Who will go first? It's great to see your names and majors coming out. All right, let's go with first names. So Alexandra, if you would like to go ahead and get us started today.
Thank you, Maureen. This is the first. Usually it's last name, and I always go last.
Well, today is your day.
I'm so excited. Hi, everyone. My name is Alex Prozac. I am an alumni from the University of Wisconsin twice. So first, in 2012, I graduated with my BS in biology. And then again, I returned for my master's in biotechnology as part of the class of 2017. So kind of getting into my career and how I ended up in the place that I'm at now. When I graduated with my undergrad, the intent was to go to med school. And I was at the point of uncertainty of what specialty, where to go, is this really the path? So I worked at the University of Wisconsin at the hospital doing clinical research coordination, regulatory submissions, working specifically with investigators starting up either trials that they were designing that were NIH funded or with our industry partners. And it was in doing that that I kind of gained this line of sight into the different ways that industry works with the healthcare system and the payers and the providers and all this interplay that goes on. I was kind of fascinated by that. And so that led to me seeking out the MS in biotechnology, which combined legal, business, and some in-depth around the science for how do you really commercialize a scientific product, be it at the startup level, be it at the large scale industry. What does that look like? How do you do it? And it was coming out of that I was offered a position with Deloitte in their life sciences consulting practice. And so I spent 4 years crisscrossing the globe a bit, helping different companies work, be it on COVID responses, be it on the ways that technology interplays with life sciences drug development, and how can you use technology to inform and accelerate drug development, essentially. And then from there, transitioned to a role now at Astellas in their portfolio strategy group. So now I lead the cross-functional team with commercial, regulatory, early research, development, figuring out, bringing these stakeholders together to understand what indications do we target, why should we target them, what's really the value proposition of a lot of these early stage assets before they start going through more of your clinical trials and you get into later and later stages. And so that's briefly where I've been, kind of what my interests are, but definitely worked a bit on the industry side, the consulting side, and then also the academic medical side, if any of that's helpful. Thank you.
Maureen, you're muted.
Sorry, everyone. Going with first names. Harold, I believe you are next.
Hi, I'm Harold Stelzer. My background was is in biochemistry. So that goes back to 1992. When I was in the university, I had the opportunity to work in a lab, which wound up being my first startup experience. Turned into a software company that's still in Madison called DNA Star. My career arc has gone from bench science to project management to business development to corporate development. I had the opportunity to work with Genzyme as they were selling their business to Sanofi. So really big deal, and either do lots more big deals or you go back to the beginning, and that's what I chose to do. And so the last 8 or 9 years has been exclusively focused on building businesses. Academic spinouts is something I pay a lot of attention to. Worked very recently with WARF and another venture capital group to look at an emerging technology at Madison. How do you do it? How do you spin it out? And I found that, I've been doing that for years now and find it very enjoyable.
Thank you. All right, let's go on to Hannah.
Hi, I'm Hannah. I graduated in 2014. I had my major in biology, and then I had minors in environmental studies and African studies. I currently live in New York City, and I work for Johnson & Johnson right now. And fresh out of school, I actually got my first job at the career fair working for Medline, which is a medical device company. And I worked in product management there for several years, kind of working from the inception of a product with R&D and supply chain, from marketing to sales, and then eventually transitioned into a full-time sales role. So currently I work for Johnson & Johnson in the breast cancer division doing sales in the greater New York City area.
Excellent, thank you. And Jada.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jada, and I also work for Johnson & Johnson. I've actually been there for a year now. And with J&J, I am a clinical project manager, what we would call local trial manager. So my role is, how do we manage clinical trials and bring them from the bench to our patients safely, and make sure we can do it right, and make sure that we can give our patients the best care that we can. So my career journey started actually with industry the summer of 2016. I got an internship at another pharmaceutical company, and I wasn't really sure. I was used to bench lab research. I thought I wanted to go to med school, but then when I realized that there's this whole side to the pharma industry that was specific to management, it was very interesting to me. So ever since I graduated in the December of 2017, I've been in pharma ever since within the project management sphere, and I really enjoy it. So I'm really excited today to be able to tell you all a little bit more about what I do in the industry.
Thank you. All right, and Joe.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joe, and glad to meet you all. I'm an 83 undergrad in econ, and I never thought I would go into the medical device and healthcare space, but things happen. So even though I was in banking, even during school, working at the UW Credit Union, I was also a research animal caretaker at UW Hospital. 2 of my 3 siblings were in management in hospital management here in the Madison area. And I basically was interested in the science because I had a bit of background as a part of my undergrad. Fast forward, after a couple of years in banking, was really not excited about the area. So decided to go into sales, and through a series of events, started selling into clinics and becoming a sales rep, and then ultimately started my career there. Joined Abbott, spent nearly 20 years with that global company, and from sales management, product management, both global and US, setting up international e-business teams, and then coming back and doing global commercial execution. Got a great background, great training. And then moved on to Baxter for a bit in terms of contract manufacturing, and then went to private equity, kind of like what Harold has done in building businesses. And then went back into large company management, leading US sales organizations, And then most recently through an acquisition, came back to Abbott and spent some time there and decided I want to go smaller. So now at a $26 million company based out of Dallas in the medical distribution space, where we serve drug testing, toxicology, pain management, rehab centers, as well as on the other side of the coin, cannabis analytic labs of all things. So it's an interesting journey, and even an undergrad in econ can be successful in medical device and pharma.
Yes, it can. Absolutely. Thank you. And we'll finish up with Marie.
Yes, I'll top Joe with an undergrad in history. So healthcare was not my original plan. And I'll put in a plug for UW study abroad programs, because that's where I realized I was interested in economic development, which is a big part of my role now. So I started out in the legislature, which is a great place to figure out what you want to do with your life, because you get to taste a little bit of everything. And I realized I was really interested in economic development policy there as well. And my role now is with a cooperative of 45 hospitals across the state of Wisconsin. So if you know anything about the business of rural healthcare, it's very challenging to keep rural hospitals afloat. And a large reason why is because they have low patient volumes, they have a high proportion of uninsured and Medicaid patients, and a host of other health challenges they're working to combat. So my role is helping our hospitals take a more active play a more active part in their communities and economic development to help stem some of the ties in their community that lead to low uninsured rates and high Medicaid rates, and losing population and aging populations by revitalizing their rural communities, and therefore making their business of their hospital more viable and hopefully preserving local healthcare access.
Wow. What a lineup we have.